Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the live debut of The Ghost of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO, presented by Hallmark Channel, Saturday, December 12th, 2 shows at Amway Center. Buy your reserve seat tickets now at livenation.com and Ticketmaster. Don't miss The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO. Order the new album, Letters from the Labyrinth, available at Amazon.com.
Welcome to Late Night Parents. I'm your host, Ted Hicks. We have a weekly podcast where we sit down and talk with game changers in the sports, technology, education fields. We even do product reviews and giveaways. Why, you ask? Because we're all parents. So if you're ready for an up-close and personal look, then you can check out our podcast. New episodes are available every Thursday. Catch us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. That's Late Night Parents. The site is latenightparents.com.
Like everyone else, I've made a lot of mistakes.
Hindsight.
In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
Sometimes it's a real kick in the balls.
Square in the nuts.
We all say things.
I have never doped.
Or do things that we later regret.
Learn from them and move forward.
Missing out on the best sports talk doesn't have to be one of them. Stay connected to your favorite station wherever you go on the iHeartRadio app. Open our iHeartRadio app today or listen online at iHeartRadio.com.
Hey fans, this is Eric Kohler, stadium voice of UCF football. We invite you to tune in to EK Sports every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we feature the preferred picks of the week, insured by our good friends at Preferred Benefits Consultants, where it's always fun to pick those games of the week, but never a time to gamble with your health care. Find a Preferred Benefits Consultant at OrlandoHealthExchange.com. That's the letter X, OrlandoHealthExchange.com, and start saving today.
Thanks to modern technology, you can't get rid of us. Follow us for the latest sports news, scores, and free stuff. Twitter.com/740thegame.
We are back for Full Court Press Radio, sponsored by SOFOELLC. The final segment of the show, if you want to jump in with us and the guys tonight, 407-916-8255 or toll free 800-729-8255. When I say the guys, it's now a 5-man crew tonight. It's myself, Paul Myers, the editor-in-chief of NBAFCPRadio.com.
Yo.
Mark Johnson, the actual NBA draft expert and social media manager of NBA FCP Radio.
Mm-hmm.
our special guest co-host, Zach Oliver of Orlando Pinstripe Post.
What's happening?
And our good friend, Chris Barnwell from At the Hive, and also one of our original guests from the very show.
How's it going?
You know, I want to give Chris a shout-out real quick because Chris does a heck of a job at the Hive, but he also, you know, he's writing for Hardware Paroxysm. I know everyone's familiar with that. I write with him at Friendly Bounce, which is part of the HP Basketball Network. He does a fantastic job there, and I've known Chris for a couple of years now. Chris is a really good guy, and you know, he'll probably write for your website if you call him.
Don't good shout out.
Don't volunteer Chris for something he's not ready to handle just yet. Chris, if you ever want the time, you know where to find me. All right, guys, we have about 10 minutes left on the show, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a game called Actually, you know what? Before we get into this game, we didn't get into about the Miami Heat. Mark, what is the one strength and the one weakness of the Miami Heat going forward this year?
Strength is they got perimeter pop. Wade, Gerald Green, Dang, Dragic, Chalmers, Justice Winslow. That perimeter unit can do a lot of damage. The weakness is the front, the interior players. You get Whiteside out of the game, it is open season inside. It is no shot blocking whatsoever. McRoberts, he's done. He's injured and done. Birdman, he's old, so he can't do it. It's just a lot of problems right there.
Wow. Birdman can't fly no more, huh?
I mean, what happened to that boy? All right. So here's what we're going to do. I know. I couldn't help myself. We're going to play a game called Best Starting Five. And since now there is 5 of us tonight, so each one of us is going to pick one player each position. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to take the point guard. Zach's going to take the 2 guard. Paul's going to be small forward. Chris is at this power forward position, and Mark's at the center. So basically, we're going to pick the best player in the division at each position.
Now, are we going just for one season, or are we building a team towards the future?
We're talking right now.
Be technical.
We're talking right now. If we're going to pick our best 5, we're going with the 5 that goes right now. No potential.
Okay.
You, of course, gave me the least obvious one for the Hornets.
No, it's actually for the entire division, Chris.
Yeah, you can pick anybody in the division.
The entire division. Pick any player.
Okay.
So you know what? We're going to go old school this one. We're going to start inside out. So Mark, since you're the 5, the best center in the entire Southeast Division, who do you got?
Oh, I'm going my man Vucevic, Big Vu
All right.
from Orlando. Best center in the Southeast Division right now.
Why do you say that?
Well, he can score and he can rebound. I mean, I know some people might like Whiteside, but guess what? He gets in foul trouble, and he's not really much of a scorer. I'm going to go with the 20 and 10 guy. I thought Vu should have been an all-star, against Kyle Korver and players like that. So I'm going Big Vu.
I agree.
All right, Chris, power forward, who do you got?
Well, if he's considering Vooch a center, then I'm going to take Chris Bosh at the power forward. I know he's played a lot of center over in down in Miami, but really he's still one of the best power forwards in the NBA. His help defense is incredible. He can shoot. He can still post you up, even though he doesn't do it all that much. Chris Bosh is an incredible player.
Yeah, you put him next to Vooch, and that's ugly.
That's a perfect fit next to Vooch, too.
All right, Paul, you got the small forward position. And no, you can't choose LeBron James.
Oh, man. That's so unfortunate. We talked about him earlier, and I kind of gave you guys some flack, but I got to go MKG if we're talking about small forwards in this division.
Nice.
He is exactly what Chris described him as. Very athletic. He's a great defender. Offense is getting better. I got to go MKG, man. I mean, the rest of the division, it's just not that strong at small forward, but MKG is actually a pretty strong player.
All right, Zach, you got the shooting guard position.
Of course, the problem with small forward across the league, once you get past LeBron, Durant, Paul George, Carmelo, and Kawhi, it's.
Well, you got Rudy Gay is solid. I mean, there's a couple, but
there's a few lower.
Rudy Gay.
Yeah, exactly. This should be pretty easy because I think it should be Dwayne Wade. But
curveball.
Wade's injuries worry me.
Okay,
and they're very worrisome. He's getting old.
And
those knees
with the rest of the starting lineup, having MKG there, I'm going to take Bradley Beal because of Beal's shooting ability. And, because I already know Danny's going to have to pick John Wall at point guard. So, those two can work well together. And, then you have a secondary ball handler on the court, too. So you can play Wall off the ball a little bit. And, I think that adds another dimension to the offense that maybe Wade could bring that, but his shooting isn't as good. And I think that the starting lineup would need the shooting more.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick, actually.
I mean, I guess mine's the easiest one of the division because I guess I take the less amount of time to talk.
But right?
I was thinking more of the lines of Gordon Dragic. I do like Dragic. I do like Dragic in Miami this year, but it's easy. It's John Wall. For me, he's the point guard that's after Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and Stephen Curry. He's the next point guard on that list. I'm not big on. I like Kyrie. He's okay. Damian Lillard is not very good defensively. I think Wall is that next point guard on the next tier list. Wall is so close to being a superstar. It's not even. It's scary. So for me, I'm taking John Wall easily. All right, guys, we have about maybe a couple minutes left. Who wins the division? And I will start with Chris. Chris, who you got winning the division?
Don't be
let's go with Miami.
Zach?
I teased this earlier. I said that I had a bold prediction about the Heat. I have the Heat winning the division and the Eastern Conference this year.
Ooh.
Wow.
Now is that because of injuries?
With the 1 seed?
I have the Heat going to the finals.
Wow.
Is that because of injuries to the Cavs, or?
I think that's part of it, but I like Miami's depth overall better because I think that Miami can run out a second unit that is going to be better.
Okay.
Interesting thought.
Yeah.
Paul?
I'm actually going to use Zach's argument against him for the injuries. They got a couple old players in there. They got a little bit of youth, but I'm going Washington. I think that Washington actually has a solid bench. I think their depth is strong. If John Wall and Brad Beal can stay healthy, I like them to take the division.
I think that's a good pick, and I think it's probably going to be close between those two teams.
I agree.
I'm looking at the over-unders that Vegas Sportsbook posted today. The Wizards and the Heat are both at 45.5. I think they're both over that. I think they have the Hawks pegged a little too high at 49.5.
I agree with you there.
There's going to be some fall off there because DeMar Carroll was that glue guy. They'll still probably win 45 games, be the 5th, 6th seed.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some fall off there, and overall, the Southeast Division is, I think, probably the second best division in basketball behind the Southwest.
Wow.
I thought that last year, and then it completely fell apart.
Wow.
You're right on that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'll break it down real quickly. Charlotte has no chance.
None.
None. They have none. Washington, they're talented. I don't like the small forward position in Washington all too much. I'm not sure about Otto Porter. If they had Paul Pierce and Otto Porter together, two of those guys are good as one. Otto Porter, I'm not sure. I think they're still holding hope for Durant. I don't think it's them. Atlanta, like Paul said, DeMar Carroll was too big of a loss, and I'm not sure if Splitter can play the 5 or even Paul Millsap at the 3. I'm not sure that's going to work.
Splitter up because that was not. I don't.
Personally, I got Miami in the division. I think they're not really going to have to depend on Wade that much. I think Green, Justice Winslow, and Dragic are going to do a lot of damage on the perimeter, and whether Wade's healthy or not, those 3 guys will be able to play and play well.
Basically, for me, it's Orlando is still too young. I think Orlando's 1 year away and 1 draft pick away, and it's easy. It's Miami. 2 words for you. It's very simple. It's Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Bosh, I think, turns into an MVP candidate. He goes back to Toronto, Chris Bosh. That's going to happen.
That was more than 2 words.
I know.
And they need him to.
I think Chris Bosh turns back into Toronto Raptor Chris Bosh.
I think we're kind of underselling Atlanta here just a little bit, just going to say, because Washington is with Whitman especially, is not a good regular season team. They always limit into the playoffs. They always struggle post All-Star break. And then they come into the playoffs and just play out of their minds. It's really weird. And Miami, they're so likely to get hurt with Wade, and there's probably going to rest with some of those older guys. Like Atlanta, I know Carroll was a huge loss, but he was the 5th man on a team that won 60 games last year. Like, I think we're underselling them just a little bit.
Yeah, so you know what? Like I said, we have about a minute left in the show, so I want to thank all our guests tonight. Paul Myers of NBA FCP Radio, Mark Johnson, and also NBA FCP Radio, our good friend Zach Oliver of Orlando Pinstripe Post, and our good friend Chris Barnwell at The Hive. Zach, what's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, so you can follow me at Zach Oliver NBA, and you can see my writing on Pinstripe Post mostly, but I'll dabble, and if you want me to write for your website, I can say no.
Hey, Chris, real quickly, 10 seconds. What's your Twitter handle?
At Chris Barnwell, ChrisBarnewall.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next Tuesday night. I also want to thank SOFOELC to be the main sponsor of the show. John Hamilton and crew will definitely get you guys on next week. But this is Full Court Press Radio. We'll see you guys next Tuesday night, sponsored by SOFOELC. Peace.